everyone, welcome to another video. So I was looking back at some of my old videos, and in the comments I saw there were some people who were saying that I was faking it for like YouTube fame and taking advantage of people and all this stuff. There were still some people in the comments saying that I'm faking it and making all of this up, which is silly because who the fuck has time to do shit like that? Well, look what came in the mail yesterday. My hospital records. So I'm going to read them for you because this happened like 3 years ago and I think it's hilarious now. So obviously this stuff isn't actually hilarious, it's like really serious. I think it's hilarious because this is what people wrote about me and I think it's funny. So I think that reading what like people wrote about me that like, you know, I'm not really supposed to read, I guess. I don't know. Like imagine being able to read your therapist's notes that they take about you when you're talking to them. Like this is basically what that is. So I'm going to read you what they wrote about me in my hospital records. So this is my discharge summary. So history of present illness. She was this might be boring to some people, but trust me, it gets good. I was admitted on a probate court order and in fact recently had been admitted to blank hospital about 2 weeks ago. She was given Celexa, Trazodone, and Vistaril, which she says she was taking. She appears to become very hyperactive, increased goal-directed activities, claiming that she was helping cleaning up everything around the house, but in fact making a big mess. She was starting some special gardening project, wanting to go on some special diet, felt that kerosene around the house was going to be used to burn her down. She felt poisoned by her parents, and also complaining of some hallucinations, seeing a ball of light and hearing voices. This has been going on for about 2 weeks. Okay, and then it says past psychiatric history. She has a history of recurrent depression where she gets withdrawn, sad, and tearful, apparently without psychotic features up until this point. Prior to being admitted to blank blank, she appears to have developed paranoia at that time, seemed to be hallucinating, was not eating, and also complained of several episodes of panic attacks where she felt she was going to die. She had tachycardia, which I looked up and it means increased heart rate, and diaphoresis, which she felt lasted for hours at a time, and this could be related to some paranoia. So I guess when people are paranoid, like their heart rate gets really fast and they're like sweating, they're like, oh, everyone's out to get me, and all this stuff. So anyway, and then the substance abuse history. She says she has a past history of using occasional cannabis and alcohol, but claims to have not used any in over a year and has not been any previous treatment. She denies any blackouts or withdrawals from alcohol. Current medications. She was on Celexa, Vistaril, and Trazodone, but she appears not to have been taking that from the family description. Social history. She reports an uneventful childhood. There was not any physical or sexual abuse. She completed high school and went to college. She spent about 6 years changing majors and eventually graduating and eventually majoring in philosophy. She recently completed college. She has been dating, and it appears her boyfriend seems to have broken up with her in February, and this seems to be a social stressor for her, which may have impacted this current manic episode. She has been dating someone else recently as well. She has worked as a cashier briefly, but is currently unemployed. Legal history, she denies any legal problems. And then for family history, it says her maternal aunt and cousin have bipolar disorder. Mental status examination. Revealed a thin white female who was casually dressed. She was cooperative, friendly. Hygiene was adequate. Eye contact was fair. She was tearful and labile in her affect. Her thoughts are somewhat disorganized, and she had flight of ideas, and obtaining history was difficult because of the thought disorder. She appeared paranoid about her family poisoning the food and keeping flammable liquids around the house. Her mood was elated. Her affect was labile. She appears to have had recent hallucinations of seeing balls of light and hearing voices. Cognitively, she was fully oriented. Memory was intact for recent and remote events. She could recall 3 objects out of 3 after 5 minutes. Fund of knowledge was adequate for various presidents. Abstractions were good for similarities but not for proverbs. Her concentration, calculation, and attention was poor for serial 3s and 7s. I'm really bad at math anyways, so. insight, and judgment were limited. And then as for the hospital course and treatment, it says the individual was admitted to the dedicated educational unit, and her initial mental status was as described above. She presented as a 24-year-old white female in a 1013 for psychosis and bizarre behavior. She had been recently admitted to blank blank 2 weeks prior to this admission for anxiety and depression and was given Celexa. She has since been manic, tearing up her clothes, trashing her room, paranoid that her parents were poisoning her food, thinking there was kerosene everywhere, and afraid that she was going to come to some harm. She also appeared to be hallucinating. She seems to have a history of mild recurrent depression lasting up to a month at a time, where she is withdrawn and tearful. There is a history of alcohol and cannabis, but nothing recently. Her boyfriend had broken up with her 6 months ago, and she had been dating someone else recently. A maternal aunt and cousin have a bipolar disorder. Following her admission, she was started on Risperdal at 1 mg HS for psychosis and started on Depakote 250 mg as a mood stabilizer. On that, her Depakote level came back at 78. Within several days, she had significantly calmed down. Her thought disorder had improved significantly. Her hygiene was good. The bizarreness had markedly decreased. There seemed to be some obsession with cleanliness. She was noticed to be cleaning the bathroom excessively, and in her room she was preoccupied with cleanliness as well. It is unclear if this is part of an OCD or if it was part of her psychosis, but this overall had improved significantly. I feel like I'm on the X-Files. I feel like this is something that Scully would have written, you know? Like Scully always does her report at the end. It was also noted that she was on some unusual diet. She had some unusual dietary habits. Vegan is so unusual. She improved sufficiently to attend the treatment mall and was appropriate in her attendance there and her contribution to the group. It was felt she could safely be discharged and continue her treatment on an outpatient basis. She seemed to develop sufficient insight into her illness. Alright, and then the last page has the discharge summary. It says, Axis 1, bipolar disorder, most recent episode, manic with psychotic features. Condition discharge, she was calm, cooperative, coherent, and goal-directed. She was no longer overtly delusional. There was a mild preoccupation with cleanliness, but she was no longer paranoid or hallucinating. Her thought disorder had improved significantly. Her mood was euphemic and affect was appropriate. Cognitively, she was intact, and she denied suicidal or homicidal thoughts. And this is the most hilarious part of this to me. For my prognosis, it says poor. It's poor, period. It's gee, thanks. And then recommendations, it says, she was given a 5-day supply of Depakote 250 mg and Risperdal 1 mg. She was advised to take her medications as directed, keep scheduled appointments at the local mental health center in blank blank, abstain from alcohol and illicit drugs, and see her personal physician for any medical concerns. There were no dietary or activity restrictions. Bum, 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 bum. So to all of the skeptics out there who thought I was bullshitting or making some stuff up, or just found this interesting, here you go. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting since it's been many years since then. It was really interesting to read about what the actual doctors wrote. So that was really cool. So if anyone went to the hospital many years ago and you want to look at your records, all I did was email them and ask them to send them to me, and they did. So that's it for this video, and I hope you found it interesting. Please check out all my links below. Leave any video suggestions or questions and that sort of thing. And I will see you guys in the next video very soon. Okay, bye! Someone asked me on Twitter to give them advice, so I'm going to read what they need advice on, and then I'm going to give her advice, but then maybe I thought, instead of just typing to her, something that would help, I thought maybe I would